a word not used lightly.
This is an epidemic.
In this country, prescription drug abuse has become an epidemic.
Nebraska has a pill problem. Drugs meant to help are killing people.
You know, unfortunately, in 2015, we're going to have more people die from prescription drug overdoses than die in car accidents.
The state playing host to drug dealers, unwittingly inviting criminals to doctor shop and fill prescriptions because no one is watching.
Let's shut it down. It can be shut down very easily.
A lack of laws helped this drug ring make a fortune. Their demise linked to the death of this young man.
I don't want any other family to have to go through this, and it's preventable.
A Nebraska lawmaker is part of the campaign, understanding addiction from inside her family.
I think once you've been addicted, once it's sort of gotten a piece of you, you can't go back.
And treating the root cause of pain.
Let's get you back to living.
Oh my gosh, I feel lighter. I even feel healthier.
Plus, the blurred lines between addiction and crime. This is KETV News Watch 7 Chronicle, Nebraska's pill problem. Hello, I'm Julie Cornell. Nebraska has a pill problem. For starters, the state is a magnet for drug dealers, and it's causing a prescription drug abuse epidemic, aiming at the heart of families like this one. It's a cold reality. Someone is missing in this father's life.
My son was my best friend. He was my son first, my best friend. Everything he touched turned to gold.
His son, Trey Newman, a standout on the ice, a 2007 Creighton prep grad. Now, Trey's photos and gear rest in his dad's home office.
People ask you how you're doing. Then you're doing okay on the outside, but on the inside, it's hell every day.
Trey Newman was 22, the Army National Guardsman, a fresh graduate from military police school, and life's pendulum was about to shift. Trey was sick.
I could see the light on underneath his door, so I thought he was awake. When I opened the door, he had passed away. And it's been hell ever since.
Trey's bedroom is untouched. The shocker came to his dad 6 weeks after his son's death.
And the coroner told me that he died from acute bronchial pneumonia and toxic levels of methadone.
Methadone, a legal lab-created form of heroin, a powerful painkiller and narcotic used to taper off illegal drugs. And for Kevin, the brutally painful reality that his son was addicted to a prescription drug and Kevin had no clue.
Never in a million years did I think I'd be sitting here having this conversation.
Kevin clicked through messages on Trey's phone and found the drug dealer.
My son was an ATM machine for this kid. And you'd asked how long has this been going on? I honestly don't know.
Kevin took his son's story to investigators.
The Nebraska State Patrol, they headed that investigation, and then DEA partnered up to assist.
This young man's death launching a massive federal drug investigation. It started here, this former business on a Fremont country road called Pat's Rental. Agents say it was a front for prescription drugs. Agents tell me this Fremont drug ring traveled from Omaha to Florida, Georgia, Texas, and Nevada to see doctors and get fraudulent prescriptions for painkillers. And then those dealers returned to Nebraska pharmacies to fill those prescriptions and sell them on the black market. Why? Nebraska and Missouri are the only states without a functioning prescription drug monitoring program. Douglas County Attorney Don Klein says we needed one 2 years ago.
This is a serious problem. We need to get on top of it, and I think that I'd like to see us be ahead of the curve, but I think we're behind the curve right now. It's gone too far, and we need to catch up.
So the word is out among dealers. Come to Nebraska.
Yes.
And that's what you're fighting.
Yes.
Klein and the DEA say Nebraska needs a real-time state database, one that lets doctors, pharmacies, and law enforcement share information on who fills prescriptions for narcotics. With Nebraska not keeping tabs, dealers connected to Trey's death told drug agents they obtained more than 30,000 doses of addictive narcotics like oxycodone and methadone.
Basically $30 a pill.
Right.
Yes, there was a lot of money involved in this.
It was a $900,000 plus business. Black market painkillers motivated by money.
Bottom line, the dealers, they're into it for the money. You know, they don't care if somebody has to beg, borrow, and steal to get that money, so then they can sell you that drug.
Investigators from the State Patrol, Blair and Fremont Police, the U.S. Attorney's Office, and the DEA followed the paper trail of prescriptions, flight records, and doctor visits. A costly and time-consuming operation.
It was over 6,000 hours, just this one case.
Investigators crediting this father for tipping them off.
They didn't have to help us out after his son died, but you know, they did. I think they did the right thing to help out. You know, to at least try to find, you know, who all was involved.
Kevin Newman saying he has nothing more to lose.
We pray for Trey Newman, whom this mass is being offered.
The family grieving in church on the anniversary of Trey's death. Kevin still heartbroken.
My goal in life right now is to ruin as many people's lives as I can that do this type of stuff, because they've totally destroyed my life.
His son is gone. Trey's death is credited with putting 32 dealers in jail, with 32 convictions. The young man's death fueling this father, trying to get the attention of lawmakers, with a sobering promise to himself.
I'm not going to leave my son on the battlefield of life, and I'm not going to let his death be in vain.
Every 13 minutes, someone in this country dies from a prescription drug overdose. More than 20,000 people a year. You might know someone who's hooked on a prescription painkiller, and it can start in your medicine cabinet. It started behind the mirror, a secret held by this young man.
Nobody even knew. My parents, they wouldn't know. I could go around anybody. Nobody had any idea I was a drug addict.
We'll call him Ryan. We're masking his voice and face to protect his privacy. He's trying to end a 4-year addiction to prescription painkillers, starting in high school. He says he was depressed.
I was taking about 4 or 5 oxycodone, 80 milligrams a day.
Getting painkillers controlled his days.
Every time you wake up, your body just craves it because you're sick. Yeah, it's horrible.
First, he snuck into his mother's pills.
Soon, his supply ran out, and he was buying painkillers on the black market, spending $300 a week.
His successful family business supplied the cash. Dealers he called friends supplied the drugs.
I wouldn't even wish this upon my worst enemy, to be honest with you.
When you were on it, what would you do to get it? Did you steal? Did you lie? What did you do?
All your morals as a person that you got, like, raised growing up, being good, not stealing, not lying. That's just all thrown out the window.
In this country, prescription drug abuse has become an epidemic, and someone will offer them to you. If you make that choice now, it won't be an issue.
Carrie Pamakata works for Coalition RX, a new prescription drug awareness program through the Nebraska Medical Center.
It can take as little as 5 days for you to become addicted to what comes in those little yellow and white bottles.
She spends her days educating people about what's in their medicine cabinet. She says 1 in 4 kids will try these drugs to get high.
1 in 4 persons across this country today will use prescription drugs for the first time. 1 out of 4.
Carrie shares the chilling facts.
You can die doing them once. You can die doing them 100 times. But here's the thing. It's like a game of Russian roulette. You don't know. You don't know how many times you're going to get away with it.
Wide-eyed 12-year-olds get the message.
If you're supposed to take 2, you can't take any more because it's not in your dose and it might harm your body or maybe kill you.
But addiction blurs everything.
As I went on, throughout the years, it got worse and worse. I had to take more and more because I wouldn't be able to, like, feel the feeling that I was feeling off of.
And that's how people overdose. Ryan agrees. He says prescription drug overdoses killed 5 of his friends in recent years. He rushed one buddy to the emergency room.
When I got him to the hospital, the doctor said if I didn't give him CPR, he probably would have passed away. That's what really hit me.
Ryan is now under the care of a doctor on a treatment plan. But tears fall when he talks about the lies that kept his addiction alive.
I don't think my family will ever trust me again.
And the drug dealers, his former friends, they won't let up.
My phone just rings and rings and rings.
And though Carrie and Ryan have never met, they would agree the solution is in the mirror.
Who does this decision start with? Everybody say it.
Almost every year since 2009, Nebraska's tried to pass some kind of law to monitor who buys prescription narcotics. This year, one lawmaker makes it a personal fight. Senator Sarah Howard taps into her strength in this legislative hearing.
In 2011, my mother, Senator Gwen Howard, first began the conversation with her bill, LB 237.
She whispers to herself to stay strong. Sarah Howard took a moment to regain her composure because the bill she's presenting is based on experience.
My sister passed away about 6 years ago.
A prescription painkiller overdose took the life of her older sister, Carrie Howard. She remembers her spirit as a kid.
She was smart and brilliant and funny and had red hair and this Irish temper that was also hilarious at the same time.
A car accident left Carrie with serious injuries. Painkillers made her feel better. Addiction followed.
For my sister, the drug was Oxycontin.
The Midtown Omaha family was caught off guard.
We went to good schools. We lived in an amazing, close-knit neighborhood. We were not the family that you would think this would happen to.
The struggle ongoing. Carrie was in and out of treatment.
We had been through a couple overdoses with her. I left law school for a few weeks to go take care of her after she overdosed in another state.
The pill bottles they found after Carrie's death helped connect the dots.
Each pill bottle matched to a pharmacy and a physician, so she was really strategic and smart in the way that she doctor shopped. And so what's nice about this bill and this system is that it really combats doctor shopping.
So how does doctor shopping work? Say a patient goes to 4 different doctors complaining of pain. Each doctor writes her a pain pill prescription, which she takes to different pharmacies and gets them filled. Because these pharmacies don't communicate, she gets all these painkillers, no questions asked. Sarah's bill is an extension of one her mother began when she was in the unicameral. It would create a mandatory prescription drug monitoring database that lets doctors and pharmacists share information about who fills prescriptions for narcotics, and no patient can opt out. Every pharmacy would be connected.
It's amazing what we see.
It's a system Iowa has. Tony Baraldi is president of the Southwest Iowa Pharmacists Association.
It's a useful tool. If we find that a patient really is doctor shopping and pharmacy shopping, and it's apparent to everybody that's what's happening, we can put out a patient alert.
He gets a readout of every patient's narcotics record. From there, Tony can call the doctors to double check or call police if he sees an altered prescription.
Some of these folks, they don't set out to do anything wrong, they just get addicted just like to cigarettes.
Back in Nebraska, they're taking the first steps to create a system like this. On this day, a doctor,
this is an epidemic,
after doctor testified.
This is something that destroys lives and destroys families. And when this addiction goes unrecognized and untreated, the end process in this is death.
Dr. Jason Kruger works the ER at St. Elizabeth Hospital. He sees his share of doctor shoppers complaining of pain to get drugs.
People with multiple visits or stories that just don't seem to make sense.
He also sees addicts.
Nobody wants to be an addict for the most part. This happens to good people. We want to identify it so we can get them the proper help.
And then there's Kevin Newman, sharing the story of his son, sharing Senator Howard's loss.
It was like a punch in the stomach. I didn't see this coming. I had no warning signs.
Pharmacists confirm that out-of-town visitors often come to Nebraska to visit drugstores and get narcotics. Pharmacists lobbying for a monitoring program for years.
We have had the experience where people flying in from Florida for the day and had prescriptions filled in Omaha and in some of our small communities and hopping on a plane and flying back out of town.
Filling those prescriptions in Nebraska because no one keeps track. A functional monitoring program would raise a red flag to highlight addicts and catch criminals. Proponents beginning a conversation about addiction. Talk that makes some people uncomfortable.
I once had a colleague say, I know what happened to your sister, but we don't talk about that in polite company. And for me, I feel like I talk about it in all kinds of company because I don't know how to fix it unless I talk to people about it.
A lawmaker and sister trying to help other families feel less helpless.
I can't help what happened in my family, but I can certainly help what may happen for other Nebraska families.
Senator Howard's bill comes with a $500,000 price tag to set up and then maintain the database. That bill remains in committee. In Missouri, they advanced a measure to the floor. When we come back, addiction, when it goes hand in hand with crime. We'll be right back. What is it about the craving for narcotic painkillers that makes some people lie, steal, put everything on the line for a pill? One former addict begs, don't judge her.
It's so huge to think about the work that's ahead of you.
She speaks to help others find their voice.
You have the ability to make another choice.
It's Monday night at a Narcotics Anonymous meeting inside a treatment program at Campus for Hope. Sharing her story out loud, Lisa Oliverius deciphers a bit of herself.
It's the story. What's the story behind the person?
Behind every person who's a drug addict is a story. And Lisa believes when we take time to understand those stories, labels fade away.
I am smart. I'm capable. I'm creative. I'm all of these things. I'm not just an addict. I'm not just a felon.
Lisa says she lived a childhood too dreadful to fully share publicly.
Oh my gosh, years of just pain, lots of abuse as a child. Not just to me, but I saw a lot of abuse.
Lisa telling us years of trauma and abuse seemed to fade when she was high.
I was a pill addict, pain meds, opiates. I wanted to sleep. I wanted to be numb, to all the pain.
Her many mugshots and arrests detail her criminal history. For more than 5 years, spending her days doctor shopping for narcotics, spending everything she had and money she didn't have.
I've got 5 convictions, 5 felonies on my record, and they were money crimes.
We lost our home, we lost cars, and I didn't care. I mean, I cared, but I didn't.
The addiction fueling felonies as she wrote bad checks to buy prescription drugs.
Being arrested at work and being arrested in front of my children, my son bailing me out of jail. I mean, how does that happen? How do you get there? And then I look at life today and I think, how did I get here?
Living behind bars for almost 4 years.
I lived in a black hell. I really did.
Until she made a choice.
Nothing changes if nothing changes. You can't grow and you can't become something better if you don't heal what was.
With healing through jail, a 12-step program, and therapy, Lisa's been sober now for 6 years.
It's okay to be scared. It's okay to not know what to do next.
Free from the grip of addiction, she's now free to use her talents.
I've maintained a 4.0 since I started school, so pretty proud of that. I'm back in college and going for my associate's degree in chemical dependency counseling. So I want to use my experience to help other people.
She's discovering a new normal.
I laugh when people say, I got my life back. I didn't get my, thank God I didn't get my life back. I don't want that life. No, this is the life that I wanted the whole time, that I had no clue how to get.
Behind every drug addict is a story, and with hard work and the right choices, it's a story that can inspire.
But you have to keep being courageous, and you got to move past that. You actually have to do the work with what you learn.
Words she speaks and believes.
The more I do it, the more I own the choices that I've made, and the more I understand them, and the more I know I will never make those choices again.
When we come back, fighting pain without narcotics. There are many people truly in pain who need medicine to live comfortably. Did you know some of those medicines can actually cause pain? Here's one man's story of triumph over his pain and addiction.
So this is going to highlight the nerve. You're going to feel a pinch here. 1, 2, 3, pinch.
Tyler Smith has a 4-inch needle in his spine, and he's awake.
I mean, I still got my shoes on. I mean, I can just get up and walk.
He's having an outpatient procedure through Nebraska Medicine's pain medicine clinic.
So now what I'm trying to do is I'm going to try and touch the bone.
Dr. Thomas Brooks is leading the pain treatment plan, getting to the source of Tyler's pain, not masking it with drugs.
And I'm in. You may feel a little zing.
Brooks is a pain medicine specialist who refuses to prescribe narcotic painkillers to his patients because of their addictive nature.
It's a problem. And once that process is started, it's very difficult to reverse.
It's a novel approach in a culture that has a pill for everything.
You have to go in and convince the patient that you're going to treat the underlying pain problem, and there has to be a certain buy-in that, okay, we're going to do this, but at the same time, we're going to work on reducing your opiate medications.
Opiates that Brooks says are highly addictive and mind-numbing. Drugs created for cancer patients who are dying. Tyler says he was hooked on the painkiller methadone for more than 10 years.
It's bad to say, but we would joke around. It's like, well, yeah, I got to go. I got an appointment with my drug dealer. I got to go. But I was a legal drug addict. You know, I really was.
They were drugs prescribed by countless doctors, keeping Tyler in a haze.
Looking back, you don't remember a lot of the moments, the little moments that always mean a lot. And that's crushing.
Missing his son's childhood, checking out of his own life.
I lost 10, 12 years of my life that I can't even think of now. Gosh, I would go days without sleep. And it was the methadone. It wouldn't let me sleep. It wouldn't let me rest.
Dr. Brooks says the doses were so high, the medicine was actually creating Tyler's pain.
Your body gets tolerant to a certain degree. But also, at higher doses, pain medications have a paradoxical effect. They no longer eliminate pain, but in fact cause pain.
Tyler says he was on a path to early death.
Like I was admitted into the ICU because I was uncontrollable. I was screaming. It hurt, and they just kept pumping medicine into me. And I said, I want off this stuff. I want gone with it.
Within 35 days, Tyler weaned himself off the drugs. Dr. Brooks went to work with anti-inflammatories, numbing medicine, steroids, and nerve blocks.
You see it following the nerve?
Finding the source of Tyler's low back, hip, and leg pain.
He has 2 joint issues and 1 nerve issue.
Brooks doesn't promise patients they'll be pain-free. He tells them the pain will be reduced.
And I'm all done. Needles out. Yes, you will have pain. But more importantly, you're going to wake up. You're going to get your life back.
That promise kept.
Oh my gosh, I feel lighter. I even feel healthier.
Breaking the cycle of addiction, hanging out with his grandson again. Tyler losing 40 pounds. He's sleeping for the first time in years and waking up to a fresh start.
Just because your life is set in that groove, it doesn't have to stay that way.
Dr. Brooks says there are many options to combat pain. Find a doctor who will explore those with you. The lure of money, the power of addiction, it's a complex issue. It's an issue that can start in your medicine cabinet. The solution lies with conversations with your doctor and in seeking laws that expose the problem, not cover it up. With photojournalist Molly Miles, I'm Julie Cornell.